You know that moment. You're staring at a cracked wall, a burnt piece of toast, a cloud, and suddenly there's a face looking back at you. For a split second, it doesn't feel imagined. It feels real. What's strange isn't that this happens. What's strange is that it happens to almost everyone. Your brain is one of the most advanced pattern recognition systems ever created, yet it keeps making the same ridiculous mistake. Except, what if it isn't a mistake at all? What if seeing faces where none exist is one of the smartest things your brain has ever learned to do? Because hidden inside that tiny illusion is a survival strategy so successful. It still shapes how you see the world today. Imagine walking through a forest hundreds of thousands of years ago. You notice something that vaguely resembles a face behind the bushes. You have two choices: ignore it, or assume someone or something is watching you. Most of the time, it would only be a shadow. But once, it isn't. One wrong decision is enough to remove your genes from history. Evolution doesn't reward being correct, it rewards surviving. That's a surprisingly important difference. Your ancestors weren't the humans who made the fewest mistakes. They were the ones who made the safest mistakes. Psychologists call this a false positive. It's when your brain detects something that isn't actually there. Normally, we think false positives are bad. A smoke detector going off because of burnt toast is annoying, but imagine the opposite. A smoke detector that stays silent during a real fire. Suddenly, the annoying version seems much smarter. Your brain works exactly the same way. It intentionally leans toward false alarms whenever the cost of missing something could be fatal. And faces. Faces are among the most important things a human can possibly detect, because a face isn't just a face, it's information. Friend or enemy, parent or stranger, safe or dangerous. Long before humans invented language, faces already carried entire conversations. Which raises a strange question. If your brain is so obsessed with finding faces, why stop there? Here's something most people never think about. Your brain isn't trying to recreate reality. It's trying to predict reality quickly enough to keep you alive. Those are different goals. Imagine reading messy handwriting. Even if several letters are missing, your brain often fills in the entire word. It doesn't wait for perfect information. It guesses. Vision works the same way. The light entering your eyes is surprisingly incomplete. Blind spots, noise, changing shadows, objects partially hidden behind others. Your brain constantly fills in missing pieces without asking for permission. Most of the time, it gets away with it. Pareidolia, the tendency to see meaningful images in random patterns, isn't a bug. It's what happens when a prediction machine becomes exceptionally good. Good enough to occasionally become overconfident. Here's the fascinating part. Children begin recognizing faces incredibly early in life. Some researchers believe our brains become so specialized for facial detection that they dedicate entire neural systems almost exclusively to it. That means the threshold for saying, yep, that's probably a face, becomes surprisingly low. 2 circles, 1 line. Congratulations! Your brain has already assigned it emotions, but faces aren't the only things humans invent. Sometimes, we invent entire invisible beings. Imagine hearing rustling outside your shelter at night. It could be the wind, or an animal, or another human. Your brain naturally pursues explanations involving an agent, something with intention, because agents can harm you. The wind cannot decide to attack. A predator can. Psychologists sometimes call this hyperactive agency detection. Humans evolved to assume that events often have a someone behind them, rather than a something. That tendency likely helped our ancestors survive. But it also has an interesting side effect. We're incredibly good at finding intention where none exists. The car doesn't want to start. The universe is sending signs. The house feels haunted. Random events begin forming stories, and stories are easier for our brains to remember than randomness. This doesn't explain every religious belief or supernatural experience. Human belief is far more complicated than one evolutionary mechanism, but it does explain why our minds naturally lean toward agency before coincidence. Your brain prefers an answer, even an imperfect one, over no answer at all. That same shortcut quietly influences another part of your life, every single thing you see. Most people imagine vision like a camera. Eyes capture reality. Brain receives it. Done. That's not what happens. Modern neuroscience suggests perception works more like prediction. Your brain constantly builds a model of what it expects to see. Then it compares incoming information against that prediction. You're not simply seeing the world, you're continuously updating a best guess. That's why optical illusions work. They're not tricking your eyes, they're exploiting your brain's predictions. Even your blind spot is proof. Every eye has one, yet you almost never notice it. Reality feels seamless, mostly because your brain edits it before you ever experience it, which leads to an uncomfortable thought. How much of your everyday experience is direct reality, and how much is your brain's most convincing approximation? Oddly enough, humans aren't the only ones beginning to experience this problem. Modern AI vision systems are built for a similar challenge. Recognize meaningful patterns from incomplete information, show them enough examples, and they become remarkably good. But sometimes they confidently identify objects that don't exist, or miss obvious ones. Engineers even discovered that tiny, almost invisible changes to an image can convince an AI that a turtle is a rifle, or that random noise contains recognizable objects. Not because the AI is seeing, but because, like us, it's making predictions. Of course, human perception and artificial intelligence work very differently under the hood, but both reveal the same deeper principle. Any system designed to recognize patterns will occasionally recognize patterns that aren't there. Perfect accuracy isn't always the goal. Useful accuracy is. The funny part is, for decades people joked that computers would eventually think like humans. Instead, one of the first human traits they've accidentally inherited is seeing things that don't exist. The next time you notice a face in a cloud, or eyes staring back from a power outlet, remember this: you're not witnessing a flaw. You're witnessing millions of years of survival. A brain that would rather embarrass itself with one imaginary face than miss the one real face hiding in the dark. Maybe that's the strangest part of being human. The world you experience isn't simply what's out there, it's the story your brain believes is safest to tell.